The other thing that we've done is we've put into the business a real sales engine. We just felt that we needed to do something different. What's been interesting is our sales engine isn't full of salespeople. We are getting the team to be our sales engine and are enabling them with different programs to be able to do that. And then we've brought into the business a sales admin support person to be able to oversee all this and make the sales engine work on a daily basis.
Sadie Groom.
Ben Baldwin.
Welcome to Berkhamsted and Beyond.
Thank you very much.
We're giggling because we're doing this again because there was something went wrong, but we'll not talk about that.
Exactly.
But also we're giggling because we know each other very well.
We do.
So we're going to have fun. I had loads of intros written for you. Didn't know which one to go with. Businesswoman extraordinaire, entrepreneur, average golfer.
Well, maybe below average golfer. We'll see this afternoon.
We'll find out this afternoon. You can report back. But Sadie, we've known each other for years. You've got a wonderful business, Bubble Agency.
Yep.
Tell us about it and tell us about how you got there and why.
And why.
Yeah.
Oh, the big why. So how did I get there? I've bizarrely got a degree in theology. So nobody would ever think I would end up owning a PR agency. So
no one ever think that.
No. So there's a big stretch there. When I graduated, I went to work for a PR agency, which I absolutely loved. And then I went in-house to expand my knowledge and network, I guess. And I worked in-house as European PR manager. I got laid off, which was absolutely devastating. For me, but they said that wherever I went to, I could have the contract. So at the time, I went and interviewed with lots of different agencies.
So this was taking the contract for the business from the company you were leaving?
Yes, absolutely. And it was just one of those things. I was the person that had been there the least amount of time. They made 10% of their workforce redundant. I was the cheapest person to lay off. So I went, and, it's not a nice feeling knowing that someone's discussing you in a different room. But anyway, that's another story. And so I went for my final interview. I remember I was in an office in Hammersmith. It was a very well-respected agency in the industry that I work in. The guy interviewing me was wearing his breakfast down his shirt. He was really misogynistic. It was just awful. So I walked out of there and I called my parents from a payphone. There were mobile phones then. This was 1999. And I just said, right, I'm doing it myself. And my dad was like, oh, thank God. Me and your mum been saying, like, for the past 6 weeks, she just needs to do this on her own. So I did. And I thought, well, this will probably last a year. No one's going to criticise me if I fail. I had nothing. I had a crap car. I didn't own a property. Literally had nothing that anyone could take away from me.
So nothing to lose.
So there was nothing to lose.
Was there a burning? It doesn't sound like there was ever a burning desire to run your own business at that point. Or was there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. My dad had gone from being a lorry driver to owning 2 businesses, and I could really see what that meant to him and to us as a family and the things that it afforded us. He did lose it later, but that again, that's another story. But yeah, I think I always thought that I would do it. And my first boss in the first agency I went to, when I left, he said, you'll be owning your own business within 10 years. And I did it within 6.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I think it was always there.
So when you talk about that moment of losing your job, being made redundant, how does that affect you now, leading your own team and talking about them outside the room?
Yeah, it's really hard. We have had to make redundancies, and personally, I have found it really hard to do that. I'll be honest. Recently, we've. Business is tough, and you're making decisions all the time, and you have to look. I run a PR marketing events agency. My biggest cost is staff. And that you can turn that profit margin so quickly by removing a member of the team. Yeah. And it's horrible to have to think that. And, we have to think, we renew those thoughts constantly.
And that is the times we're in, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
You and I were just talking before we hit record about shaking trees and
absolutely.
finding clients and looking for things. You were in a very niche area, which is what a lot of business leaders and coaches are like, niche down, that's where you're going to get it. But you and I niche in an area which is quite volatile at the minute, like many areas. So what are you doing to counter that?
Well, firstly, we've expanded globally. So we have an office in LA, we have an office in Boston. So that's one thing. So then we can shake different trees in different areas.
Palm trees.
Palm trees, exactly.
Oak trees.
And also we've gone into new sectors. So, and those sectors they're related to broadcast media technology. So we do sports, we do audio visual, and 18 months ago I acquired a business in the physical security space. So they do PR for body cams and CCTV cameras. It's all video content, as it is in my sports and AV division.
Yeah.
But we've gone into other niche sectors and we're continuing to do that. The other thing that we've done is we've put into the business a real sales engine. And what's been interesting is our sales engine isn't full of salespeople. We are getting the team to be our sales engine and are enabling them with different programs to be able to do that. And then we've brought into the business a sales admin support person to be able to oversee all this and just make the sales engine work on a daily basis.
How did you arrive at that decision?
We had a commercial director and we had a business development manager, and we just realised it wasn't working for us. They, it just having somebody. We had someone opening the doors for us, mostly via stalking people on LinkedIn. And I think we just got to the point where we felt we just needed to do something different and see what happened. And it was a big risk for us. It was we're taking out that the business, someone that's constantly contacting people, but we just felt that we needed to do something different. I'm very lucky in that I'm part of a big group called Agency Hackers, and I was talking to a lot of other agency owners and specialists in business in agency business that were like, right. Actually, business development in agencies doesn't always work as a role. There's a lot of other ways that you can do this. And so we just thought, right, we're just going to try it and see what happens. And it's a lot more work because it's a lot. We've got 5 different programs running across the business. The reason we brought in an admin support person is so that I can say to her at any point, where are we with this program? Is this moving forward? Is this working? Is it not working? Like, what do we need to do to change that?
And is this is based around your team being your advocates, like you say, and your sales team, and there's an incentive involved there.
Yeah.
And so can you talk to us a little bit about how it works?
So one of the biggest things is we've actually it's with another company that came in called As the Crow Flies, and they go into businesses and teach them how to get referrals. And that, it's such a strong sales method. So we've called it the Super Connector program.
Yeah. And
everybody on our team has to nominate a super connector that they then go to. And what you do is you don't just say, oh, Bob, can you just recommend us, just refer us, because that just doesn't work, because they go, oh, yeah, of course we will. And then they never actually do it because they're busy and they don't know who to refer you to. So what you have to do in the first instance is find the people you want them to refer you to. So there's a bit of LinkedIn trawling, there's asking them who they know, and then you provide them with the tools to refer them. So it's always easier if someone sends you a draft of an email rather than saying just start from scratch. So we give them the draft of the email. We say, also add this. We write, we've written some great articles in the business about AI and PR and various other things, and say, look, introduce us. We want introductions to these 3 people. Here's an email draft, and then here's here's something to incentivize them
but
as well.
it's really specific, right, as well?
Yeah, very
because you are
specific.
specific on your ideal customer.
Yeah.
You're specific on what you're going to ask the person who's referring to
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
And do you think that's where most people get it wrong?
Yes. Yeah, because they just say, "Oh, you'll just refer us," and it's just not enough, and people are too busy. So it's a program, and As the Crow Flies, a brilliant company, and they give you a playbook and they do talks with your team on how to do it. I think the other thing is we now have a monthly sales meeting, which every member of the team has to be on.
Yeah.
And it's important. I think that your team need to understand that they need to sell as well. And it's not like hard selling. It is making them aware that without money coming in, money can't go out. It's really basic stuff.
I think it is. And I think smaller business owners in particular are often, I don't know, scared's the right word, or just, don't want to have that conversation with their staff, particularly if it's small teams, because it's a bit like, right, I'm here, I'm up the front, I'm leading, and this is what we're going to do, and I've brought this job in. But actually, it benefits everyone because... Guys, if you keep bringing the work in, then you all keep getting a job and getting paid. We can grow, can expand, we can do great things together.
Exactly. And I think, this year we've launched something at Bubble called Bubble Fest. So, exactly. We might need a videographer.
Right, okay, very good.
So, we always used to do team kickoffs. And even I was bored by them and I was leading them. And we always used to have them in January, and we'd sometimes fly the teams over from the US and sometimes not. Or I would fly over to the US in January in LA, a lot warmer. And like January in the UK, we'd go to a hotel normally around like the Berkhamsted area. Yeah. And, it would be absolutely miserable. And there would be like an old couple who got a voucher for Christmas sat in like the end of the room, like where there's like 20 rowdy PR people sat having fun. And, and it was just, but the fun bit was just the dinner and, standing there doing a PowerPoint. And I was just like, no, this is, we can deliver this information to the team in different ways. So we now have a quarterly town hall meeting, we have our monthly sales meetings, then we have various other team meetings, but it was like we don't need to stand there with, in a cold hotel room in January. So we're having Bubble Fest instead. So we're delivering.
Hang on, you're not just doing it still in a cold hotel room in January and calling it Bubble Fest.
No, exactly.
There's a lot of PR and marketing spin on this.
There is a lot of PR and marketing spin. No, we are in a field in Leicestershire.
Right. In January.
At the end of May.
Okay.
And everyone's flying over to it. And we've got different speakers coming in. It's in a tent, obviously. We've got somebody coming in to teach us how to DJ, for those people that want to DJ. Brilliant. We've got someone coming in from Colour Me Beautiful to talk about what colours you should wear. We've got a well-being session.
Suppliers invited?
Maybe.
Maybe. No. That sounds like a hard no. But I thought it was worth the ask. But that getting the team together for moments like that, then I guess that helps with that. I want to say building a family, but family and business are different, right?
Never say that. Families are dysfunctional. I mean, I love my family. I come from a great family. I might change that because I'm playing golf with my brother later this afternoon. No, but I absolutely do. But a lot of families are dysfunctional. And I think when businesses say that they're like their family, we're like a family. I'm like, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Yeah. Rather than wonderful.
Does makes one cringe somewhat.
It does, but I think for us it's more around. So we've got a business advisor who's fantastic, and his whole analogy is more around when you do relay racing. So have your team got this? Do you know when you're going to pass the baton over to someone that they're going to take it and they're going to look after that baton until they pass it on to somebody else? And I think that's the environment that we try and create, that they're more of a team, really, rather than a family. And I think we're 22 very different personalities, which is good. Can't really employ 21 people like me because it would be a bit chaotic. But I need people that are different to me. Absolutely, I need people that are more intelligent than me and smarter and more connected. And I need all of that. But yeah, getting everybody together should be really good fun.
You are notorious for, I've got this idea, I'm going to do it, I'm going to, which is why you say that you can't have 21 people like you in business. But that your skill, I think, from watching you, and we've known each other for many years, is building that team and putting the right bums on the right seats.
Yeah.
And in that area. But it's not easy, right?
No, it's not. People will say, business ownership is lonely. It is. It really is.
I think that's whatever size it is as well, right?
100%. That is, and I think the pressures that you feel as a business owner are so different to what you feel as an employee. It really is different. And that's why, I'm a very active member of things like Agency Hackers, and everybody, and I know that you do Vistage and that there's other things like that, but find those people, whether it's the local Berkhamsted group or whatever it is, find other business, sit and have corporate therapy with somebody.
We've said many a time on this podcast, even though we're only 12 episodes in, but we have said it many a times. You don't know what you don't know, right? So get in a room with other agencies. I do it with video production companies.
Exactly.
I've got a little bunch of guys that we get together at least twice a year, usually once a quarter, and we're all having the same issues, same challenges, and how important. And we've had the same business coach at one point. We've had other business coaches. It was like, have you thought of this? Have you done that? It's so important, right?
Yeah. I mean, just sharing of documents and templates and things like that. I mean, there's so much out there in the world now. I was desperately trying to get through this podcast without mentioning AI, but I'm now going to say it.
Hey, what?
Hey, what? So, it's... I mean, I there's 5 agency owners that we all get together once a quarter. All got different agencies, but all in the creative-ish space. And 2 of them are really advanced in what they're doing with AI. The other 3 are less so.
Yeah.
Me being in that 3.
No,
I know,
really?
shock horror. Owns a tech PR agency. Rubbish AI. But I come out of those meetings and it's like, right, you could be doing this and you could be doing that. Oh, here's a tool to do this. Here's a tool to do that. And in return, I'll send them other things that I'm doing. We're at the moment, like you say, I come up with these crazy ideas. We're launching, say, how do you stay in business? We're launching an internal communications part of the business. So quite often in PR, it's forgotten because it is a different thing. Is a different beast, and so we found someone that's going to do that for us. So I've been sending, my other agency hackers mates from that group all the work I'm doing on internal comms. So, what goes around comes around, and if you give somebody something, then they're often likely to give something back to you.
I still use it's obviously there's been different iterations of it, but I still use a costing spreadsheet for jobs that was given to me by a video producer, probably 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
When I first, actually, it will have been 20 years ago. Chuff Productions is 20 years old this year.
Wow.
Wow.
How good.
We must do something for
exactly.
it. Yeah, we must do something for that. And it was almost like, if you're doing it on your own, this will be really helpful. Yeah. And I've then shared it with loads. I shared it with someone last week and they were like, whoa. And I'm like, because you start a business and you just don't know. So I guess the question is, why? Why do you start a business? And what keeps you going? What's the burning desire?
Why do it? I never wanted to be made redundant again. And, Obviously,
that's really interesting, isn't it? It's
God, was it an ego thing? Probably. I just didn't like it. A ego thing, a control thing.
Is it, or is it just purely emotional?
I think it probably was. I felt that I just felt at that point that I wasn't good enough. Why would you get rid of your best PR person? Because obviously I was. But I really felt I was within that particular team. I think, so that's one reason. Money. So, people always say, oh, I'm not driven by money. I hate it when you read like these Sunday Times articles and they go, what motivates you? Looking after. No, money motivates me because I have to pay all these salaries. I have to pay my own. I have to pay my mortgage. I've got elderly parents. I've got a child. And I like nice things in life. Yeah. Money, people are all shy of saying it, but money gives you access to things. I can go to concerts. I can go to places I wouldn't normally be able to go to. I don't have a lot of it, but I'm not scared to say that money motivates me. What keeps me going is obviously the dream of selling the business for for another pot of money that will in some way be life-changing.
And when you say life-changing, is that because everyone's version of success or that life-changing thing is different, right? To
100%.
To someone it's one, to someone it's two, to someone it's three, whatever those numbers. So everyone's version of success or everyone's version of what is enough.
Yeah.
And when will you know that? Is it a magic number in your head, or is it just because obviously cost of living and stuff is changing slightly, so that number's probably getting bigger.
The number's getting bigger. Well, the number should be getting bigger, but the access to that is probably getting smaller because it in agency world we always talk about multiples of what you would sell for, like most other businesses. And that's changing, and it's not going up, it's going down. Now, the more niche you are, the higher it is. The more global you are, the higher it is. For me, I don't want a bigger house. There's only 3 of us in our family. My son will go to university, hopefully in 2 years. So we don't need bigger space there. For me, it's having additional money to not have to pay a mortgage, I guess, to not have to work. And I don't work 9 to 5. I start at 6:30 most days, and last night I finished at 10. But it's not always like that. But to maybe have somewhere where I can go away for the weekend and not have to be back until Tuesday. Yeah. Just having that. I will not stop working. That's never going to happen. So.
Always kind of define it as, I think you and I are similar in that way of why would I stop working? Because I really enjoy what I'm doing. It takes me to great places.
Yeah, absolutely.
And helps me meet interesting people. It's just being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, right? It's not about getting on a private jet or a first class thing. It's just about, actually, I want to go to that festival at the weekend, or I'd like to go to that sporting event, or I'd just like to sit at home with the kids and have a nice barbecue with a steak on it, or whatever it is.
Exactly, and being able to see friends and family and just do that. And I think it's I've always seen it as access and, like you say, flexibility.
I've just looked up while you were chatting because it was bugging me. There's a quote from Donald Miller about money. And do you know Donald Miller, the Building a Story brand? And he's often said, let's give money a good name and let's not be afraid to make it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is, and if we're not making money within Bubble, I can't do Bubble Fest. It's not cheap flying 9 people over from America. I can't fly them over for a day.
No.
They've got to be in hotels a week. We want to put on a good event. We want it to be nice.
So as part of that building and expanding into America, where there are different legislations and different stuff, does that not just scare the bejesus out of you?
Yeah, it does. It really does. but I've always been a risk taker. And
where does that come from?
My dad, 100%. So my dad, and actually we were talking about it the other day, we did some work on sort of culture thing with somebody, and you look at the people that influence your life up until the age of 8. So that's when you're building your neuro pathways. And, you know, I hear a lot of speakers about culture and leadership. This guy, shout out to Jason Langley, probably one of the best people I've ever worked with for that, because it's all neuroscience. It's not, woo-woo, you know, it's not that. It is, this is when your brain was built. This was how it was built. And you look at the people that influence you. You look at a male tree and a female tree and people that are in your life. And I have very few people on the male side that influence me, because I didn't really have grandparents and stuff, and uncles in particular. But our next door neighbour when I was growing up, who was very influential in my life, owned racehorses. And when I went, oh my God, I take risks. I also thought of it because it was the Masters that weekend, and I was like, I haven't put my bets on yet. And it just made me think, oh, I do gamble, and I'm taking a risk by launching into the US, and what if it messes up? And I sort of go, oh no, again, back to the ego thing. I go, oh no, everyone's, my competition, everyone's going to laugh at me. And then I just think, oh, well, at least I did it.
Are you that bothered about the competition?
Yes. You've got to be competitive in business. I remember meeting somebody.
Not beyond being competitive, are you that, are you bothered about what they think? Because that's kind of what you said is... I am. And, there is definitely a side of me that doubts a lot, but I've managed to deal with that and pack it away and go, actually, and the other thing that I've done is rise. I was going to come on to that, yeah.
And for, when I started that, I was very aware that I might get a lot of criticism for doing something around gender diversity in a very male-dominated environment where...
So just explain RISE to us then, because the industry that you're in on the broadcast, TV and tech side of things always has been. I mean, we've been going to trade shows together for about 20 years, and I think at one point there was you, Dawn, and a couple of others, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was a sausage. We used to call it the Sausage Fest because it was and it's still very much male dominated, but with some amazing women working in that space. And tell me about Rise.
Yeah,
and why it came about.
When I was younger, I did notice it, but didn't mind it. And I'm quite a tomboy. I love football. I can ride a motorbike. I play golf. I've got 2 very strong brothers.
I was about to say, you wouldn't tell by all your frills, but that would be the wrong thing to say when talking about a gender and diversity group.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really notice it and didn't really care. I had my son, he's now 16, and I think when I say I came back from maternity leave, I didn't really, I'm not being one of those, I was doing this when, he was like 2 days old. Yeah. I did have a bit of a break, but I think when I came back and I went into IBC was my first sort of week back at work, our big trade show, and I was like, oh, this is, and then...
So for context, IBC is a massive trade show in the industry that's in Amsterdam it was probably about 9 days long back then.
Yeah,
it's now,
exactly.
They've now cut it down to 4.
Thank God.
But it's every single hall at the Rye. So think like, probably 3... XLs, something like that.
Oh God,
it's
easily.
3 times the size of XL.
Yeah,
so it's huge.
80,000 people, that type of thing.
So you went back to that.
For the first time, and I just I was so much more aware of it. And my husband works in the industry as well, and and I was getting, who's looking after Elliot? Like I'd done this dreadful thing by running a company and going, leaving him. And and in the end, I was just getting so, I was like, oh, don't worry. He's 6 months old. I've taught him how to use the microwave. It'll be fine. But inside, and then somebody called me a marketing girl. And yes, okay, I do work in marketing, and yes, I am a female. And some women are absolutely fine with the term girl. I'm not. I find it derogatory, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And I try and not spout about it too much. But it enabled me to start Rise because, well, actually, it didn't enable me to start Rise. I got myself onto the board of Women in Film and TV. And so then I realised they weren't looking after the women in the tech part. And so I started what is now Rise. So that was nearly 10 years ago.
And it goes from strength to strength.
It's a bit nuts.
Yeah, it's so what that's one of those things that did you ever think? Well, obviously the desire's got to be for it to get that big, though, right? Or,
oh God, yeah. And I think you start. We had our first mentoring cohort, and those women I still know, like 8-9 years later, they will still come up to me and say, "Thank you for putting me on the Rise mentoring program." I'm still, they're still connected to the people in their cohort. They go to each other's weddings, all that sort of stuff.
And for those that don't know the industry, the kind of brands that have got involved that are household names, like Sky and ITV,
Sky, BBC, major manufacturers within the industry, and suppliers to the industry. We're now global. We have chapters in the Middle East, India, Canada, America, Europe, about to launch into LATAM. We've now launched it into another sector. So we now have Rise AV as well. So for Rise AV and Rise Broadcast, we're very active in now in Singapore and Hong Kong as well, and Australia and New Zealand.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It is a wonderful thing. What's the drive behind that? Or what's the continued drive behind that? Because it's not changing, or it's not changing fast enough, right?
How do you measure it? So we try and measure it by female attendance at trade shows.
Yeah.
So we have gone talk about IBC. We've gone from 9% to 15% in, I think that's about 15 years.
Yeah.
So for me, it's ensuring that women stay in the industry, making our industries attractive to come into.
Yeah.
So that that we're bringing in talent from other sectors, whether that's the IT sector, whatever that is, but we're making it attractive. Being able to see women in C-suite positions, there's 2% female CEOs in those two sectors. And that's out of like 2,000 companies. I can name on like two hands the female CEOs.
Well, everybody in the industry as well.
Yeah,
that's a staggering figure. Do we know what the comparison is with other industries? It
is a bit lower.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's not. It's not shocking in comparison to the other industries. I think it comes from a lot of the. On the manufacturer side, a lot of the business owners are engineers, and that is typically, very typically a male-dominated sector and field, and there is a reason for that. They've done the research to say when girls are growing up, the majority of girls, if you gave them a hard bit of plastic toy and then a squidgy thing, girls will go to the squidgy thing, the pink fluffy, and there's nothing wrong with that. And boys will tend to, this is our genetic makeup. We need, it is different. The boys will go to that. But we need to allow women to have the opportunity, if they want to do something in a technical industry, that they can, and they can be supported. They can, and the reason I called it Rise, I never wanted to call it women in something. I wanted to call it Rise because I wanted to see women go up and up in their career. Most women have a natural break called pregnancy. Yeah. But we're getting these other these other breaks in our lives now as women, where we tend to be the person that looks after our elderly parents more. So, how can we support those women to go through being mums, through having to look after your parents, or whatever that is, illness. I mean, all of those things. How can we support them to go, to get to the top of the industry if they want to get there, by the way, or can we find them another job? There's a whole group of people in the sports industry that work on these outside broadcast trucks.
Yeah.
They're away for 6 months of the year. And, that's a very different family setup and a different life. When they stop being on the trucks, what do? How can we support them within the business so they stay within the industry?
We saw that a lot during COVID, didn't we?
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden, everyone's working away, and then all of a sudden they're back with their families, and it's for some families that actually works really well, doesn't it? That's how their life is. It's like spending 6 months away from each other is basically how they function, how it works. We are coming towards the end of our conversation, believe it or not. So to wrap things up, I'm wondering, as a business owner, what if there was one thing you could go back and change? Is there anything that would be?
Well, yeah, I would have learnt more about finance quicker. So
me too.
It is
saving a bit.
I mean, you have this great idea, you come up with a name, you come up with a logo, you do the nice stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go to a bank.
Yeah.
And then you have to register for that, and then you have to do this. And I wish I'd embraced, because now I love it and I really enjoy it. And I've worked with 2 subsequent FDs within my business that have made me love it, because I've said to them, I am dyslexic, I'm probably dyscalculic as well, but I've said to them, don't use that terminology, use this, create that spreadsheet in this way, because I see it more, this is the information that I need. And I wish I'd found them quicker, but also just embrace that. And every meeting that we have now at board level, at leadership level, with my sales admin support person, the sales meeting, everything starts with the numbers, because it is only the numbers that tell the truth of the state of your business. So yeah, I wish I'd done more than that. People always ask me if I wish I'd done it with somebody else. And
that's an interesting one. I'd never even think of asking you that, because I'd be like, no.
Because they would have put up with that.
No, well, not at all. It would be more like you just be like, no, what? I'm doing this. You're not changing my mind.
Exactly.
What's going on there? So, trust you to drop the dyslexia in right at the very end of the interview, because that's quite an interesting thing for a business owner and you don't talk about that a lot.
I didn't know till I was 48. So my son was getting diagnosed, tested, whatever. Your next speaker will tell you about this more.
Yes.
And when he was going through the process, I was like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. And so, the assessor said, I think we need to get you assessed. And we did.
Amazing. I know someone who went through exactly the same thing, but with ADHD. Yeah. So was just on the test and was like,
yeah. And do you know, it's been great. And one of the most powerful things was that I was able to talk to my team about it. So I went to the We Are Dyslexia book, and and I love reading. I'm also a professional proofreader, so because of my focus, exactly. Then I can do it. There is probably a bit of something else as well in there, on the spectrum side. But I just embraced it. I was able to say to my team, because of this, I now know why you'll find that I do miss words in emails. Yeah. I'm also, because of it, I am normally quite a few steps ahead of everybody else in meetings and conversations.
So you're already at the end of this podcast?
Yeah, I've done. Thanks. I've gone home. Brilliant.
Last thing then. Do you think, because you only found out when you were 38. 48. So last week. So you only found out when you were 48.
Yeah.
Do you think if you knew about it beforehand, it would have changed or let's be dramatic and say it would have changed everything, or let's be less dramatic and say if you knew beforehand, do you think it would have changed things, changed the way you'd have done stuff?
No, not really.
Boring answer.
Boring answer, but I feel that okay. I mean, would it have helped at school? Well, I don't know because we didn't have laptops then anyway. So it wouldn't have, would it made school, difference to school or uni? No, because we wouldn't have what
and you had a great time at uni, right?
And I had a great time at uni. So, no, I think it maybe would have helped with me knowing why I think very differently. And one of our joint friends, Jane, who gave me a job when she really shouldn't have, I totally blagged it, has always said to me, you just think so differently to problems, to creative ideas, to ways around things. Your brain has always worked in a very, very different way to anybody I've met. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but she's just, and I think having known that the reason for it, and probably not in my head gone, oh, you're just a little bit weird. Instead.
So I'm supposed to say you're not a little bit weird.
You're not. You're very weird.
Yeah, you're on that
unique.
Note, you are indeed unique, Sadie Groom. I'd love to get you back on the podcast because there's loads of stuff we haven't talked about, like you leaving your husband in an office that you gave to me.
Yeah.
About you're the reason I'm here in Berkhamsted because you said you're the reason when we had children, don't have children in London, move out first, meet all your friends through NCT. So there's loads more to cover.
There is.
So we'll save that for the...
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
Yes. Sadie Groom, part 2, coming in the future.
In the future.
Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for asking me.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Berko and Beyond. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then drop us an email, podcast@berkoandbeyond.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. We'll see you next week.